Hello folks, this is Shera and welcome to the video. Time to get started again. Alright. Let's see. Tim Star, painting the house. Hello, I bought a house with my wife and we are slowly finishing it. I would like to ask you to paint the walls for us because we've come to the conclusion that having everything painted white is terribly boring. It is also necessary to install missing home appliances, i.e. 2 air conditioners and 2 radiators. I hope that it will not take much time. We would like to move in as soon as possible. Yours faithfully, Tim Star. I must agree. Painting everything white is generally pretty boring. Okay, I believe the spots we have to... I believe the main area we have to paint is this? Yeah. Okay. It's these... I actually really like these colors. So, that'll be nice. First, I will mount this air conditioner. If it'll permit me. There we go. I must have been too close. There we are. I believe this is the first job that introduces you to the air conditioner. There we go. Air conditioners are so mysterious to me, personally. Let's see, what else was I doing? There we are. Alright. Well, first I'll clean these windows and then I'll paint. This is a nice little living room space, though, with the kitchenette. I like it. There we are. Okay. Well? How do I want to paint this? I'll just go with whatever catches my fancy. It's not like the game cares. Oops. Not what I wanted to do. But that's alright. You know, the black for this table was an interesting choice, given that everything else is white and cream and tan. But it's not a bad thing. Gotta have something different, I suppose. you know what? Let's just do this other wall, this dark one too. And then we'll play around with the lighter one for probably most of this wall, with maybe that cubby being the dark color again. I'll see how it looks. Again, it's not as though the game itself cares. I do think I'm going to need more of that brown soon, though. This is a decent-sized room. Okay. Oh wait, I've still got to do this other wall, right? Nope, let me go. Let me go, she says to the inanimate in video game object. Oh hey, painting skill. Faster. I'm gonna do faster painting. Thank you much. Alright. Time for some lighter colored shenanigans. I think aside from this room, there is one other room to paint. Perhaps a bedroom? I may have played this game too many times, y'all. That'll teach me to go jumping around on surfaces your feet shouldn't be on. Oh. Okay, that's part of the cubby. Where does this go to? Okay, just the corridor. Okay, so I'm gonna do my little trick to see if I can get away with not having to buy another thing of that paint. See if it'll work. The trick, if you haven't seen the episode where I talked about it, is to just fill up your thingy with one type of paint and then just click the one you actually want. Because it doesn't take any level out of the one you actually want. Alright. Yay! I managed to do it without having to buy a second one of either one. So let's see. There's that down. Clearly we have a great deal more painting to do. As per the progress thingy. So the vast majority of these jobs take place during, you know, a temperate season. I think there's only one or two that take place during winter. Okay. So it looks like I probably have to paint most of these, except for this guy. This guy just needs a radiator. Gotta admit, having a towel radiator would be wicked useful, but I would probably burn myself on it, as accident prone as I am. So, I think it is solely a North Country term, but there's this term back home in New Hampshire it's a descriptor. It's a gomp, Gomp. It can either be used like as a term for somebody or a verb. Like you could say that somebody gomps into something, or you could call someone a gomp or a gomper. It's probably derived from some other word, but the way I had it used around me growing up was when you gomp into something, it's basically you're not looking and you just walk into it or you stumble into it. And to be called a gomp is to be called, it's basically just somebody who's clumsy and careless. Can you guess what my nickname was growing up? If you guess gomp, the answer is yes. Wait, you can get different sizes of these now? Y'all, I am so observant. I am the most observant creature. In all fairness, that wasn't there until recently. These creators, and they're changing things on a regular basis. Okay, and... so anyway, growing up, my nickname was Gomp. And, I used to... this past year, when I broke my leg, I was joking that it was bound to happen sooner or later. Like, that's just how it... I expected it, to be honest. At some point, I was gonna gomp into something and break a limb. My brother did it when he was like 11. It just happened to take me another half a lifetime. Oop. Okay, one of these. There we go. Yeah, this is still just as mysterious to me as it ever has been. I don't think I'll ever understand these. There we are. Okay. Beach. Oh wait, no, wait. Wait. I should get one of the big ones. Yeah! Some of you viewers might have been yelling at me in your heads about that if you're familiar with the game, and I just didn't notice it earlier. If so, I do apologize. Okay, so there's that. Did stuff in there. This is fine, that's the front door. Okay, so it's just 1, 2, 3 rooms left. Well, might as well start in here. As far as greens go, this isn't bad. It's a little bright for my taste, but not bad. Especially when paired with these wood tones. And the white. Oh. Refill time. Man, so not to go back on my broken leg, but when I broke it, I think it must have been one of the most. If I was going to break it at any time, it was actually rather a good thing it happened in 2020. We were already working from home at that time, so I didn't have to, apply for anything special with my employer. And, yeah, so that was very fortunate. I was also exceedingly fortunate that some folks were kind enough to help me to and from the clinic I went to the day of. And I was actually able to see a bone doctor the day of, which is super fortunate, because otherwise I might have had to have surgery later. So I'm quite glad it didn't come to that. I just, had to have a cast and go in every couple of weeks for the doc to look at it and recast it and all that jazz. I was extremely bad at using crutches, so I actually ended up getting one of those little knee scooters. So you rest your knee on it and you scoot yourself around. Thank goodness for that thing. I would have been SOL without it. I just do not have the upper body strength or balance for crutches. Although I did get a lift, LYFT, back from the clinic back to my apartment, and it was very serendipitous because the gentleman who drove me was an amputee who was extremely familiar with this sort of thing because it was one of his legs. So he actually gave me pointers on how to use the crutches and recommended the knee scooter. So, like I said, extremely good luck. If that had to happen, it happened in the best possible way, basically. I was extremely fortunate in that it was just a fracture, and that the doc was able to, reduce it relatively quickly. So, yeah. The learning to walk again after it being in the cast for a couple months was entertaining. All the muscle was gone. My leg looked like a little stick in comparison. I'm all good now. It's been 6 months now since 6+ months actually since I've been out of the cast and and regained my leg strength. But it was a bit of an ordeal. I'm exceedingly fortunate. And kudos to anybody who has to deal with that sort of thing on a daily basis. See, I say kudos. They do it because they have to. Which, I guess what I mean to say is mad respect. And also sorry. For anybody that's dealing with, regarding disability rights, just do your best to look out for others, whether the disability is physical or mental or anything else. When it comes to folks with physical capabilities, don't make them prove that they're disabled, please. There's been a couple cases where folks have yelled at people with wheelchairs and because they saw them standing up. And it's like, yeah, maybe they can stand up, but they can't walk for a long period of time without it, for the most part. It's like you can take something out of the oven without oven mitts, but it'll be bad for you and damaging. Same thing if you try to force somebody who needs a crutch or a wheelchair or some other mobility aid. Just, I don't know, make sure to look out for folks. In a similar vein, if you see somebody in a wheelchair, don't touch their wheelchair without permission. That's something I've seen in person a couple times. Like, that's... it's not good. But I'm also just babbling about this as somebody who doesn't deal with it on a day-to-day basis, so I could be incorrect. But, you know, just be aware of this sort of thing. Make sure to, you know, respect people's personal space. Offer help. Don't get offended if they don't want it. And keep accessibility in mind when it comes to everything, really. Anyway, that was my soapbox rant. Sorry about that. I only had to deal with that sort of thing for a very short period of time, but I guess it made more of an impact than I thought. Alright. $7,000 is not bad for just a little bit of painting. This does look a lot better. Yeah. Yeah, I think in like one of the other videos, there was also a room that was painted like pastel purple and had black wood furniture. Such a good contrast, really excellent. Against expectations. Okay, so I think that's good for this episode, so next time we'll go on to something else. But in the meantime, please make sure to take care of yourselves and others, and each other, rather. And until we talk again, have a good one. Bye-bye.